What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. This is my Week 9 waiver wire pickups video. Let's go. Before I get into some of the dopest waiver wire pickups that's going to help you win this week, let's take a quick look back at last week and go over some of the biggest fantasy disappointments that help fantasy owners lose. These are my fantasy woes from week 8. Let's start off by talking about defenses, a position we don't usually talk about as the biggest disappointments. But come on, man, the Cardinals defense, the Patriots defense, and even the Vikings defense, all three were huge disappointments this past week. For tight end, the most reliable tight end all season put up a total stinker. Greg Olsen was a huge fantasy woe for owners last week. And let's not forget the wide receivers. T.Y. Hilton should have put up a lot more points, didn't do too well. And also Julio Jones, probably the #1 ranked wide receiver going into week 8, put up a stinker as well. And the biggest fantasy disappointment from last week has to be Mark Ingram. Put up negative fantasy points, was in the doghouse, and Tim Hightower is looking better than Ingram has looked all season. Not good for Ingram owners. And how can we forget Russell Wilson? All right, let's look forward. Here are my week 9 waiver pickups. Keep in mind there are 6 teams on bye this week, including the Cardinals, Bears, Bengals, Texans, Patriots, and of course Washington. My #1 quarterback pickup this week is Colin Kaepernick, slated to be the highest scoring game. It's the Saints playing in San Francisco. It's going to be a high scoring game, lots of touchdowns. I expect Kaepernick to get at least 2 touchdowns, probably a lot of touchdowns on the ground for the Niners. So Colin Kaepernick makes it #1 on my list for quarterbacks. If you're in deeper leagues or in desperate need of a quarterback, don't overlook Tannehill, Fitzpatrick, Josh McCown, and even Sam Bradford and Carson Wentz. Because of all the weird things going on, last week was a very weird week. A lot of injuries, a lot of disappointments, a lot of weird stuff happening. And for running back, surprisingly, it's week 9 right now, and I surprisingly have a lot of great running back pickups, even a good amount of wide receivers for you guys to pick up. So we have James Starks, and all these guys are really good pickups. James Starks, he should be coming back really soon. I told you guys on the Fantasy Couch podcast, the Couchcast, that Nile Davis was garbage and didn't surprise me much. Actually, even to me was a little bit of surprise. Nile Davis was cut from the Packers. Don't know exactly what that's showing me, but the only thing I can really read from that is that James Starks is close to returning. May not be back this week, but could be back week 10 per se. So James Starks, great pickup, great stash. He should be the starting running back as soon as he gets back, as soon as he's healthy. Charcandrick West is going to be probably the best, the top waiver wire pickup this week with Nile Davis got traded. I just talked about him. Packers cut him. Jamal Charles is out. We don't know how good Jamal Charles is going to be this year or for the rest of his career. It seems to be a significant injury that he can't overcome. So Chark West, he's actually a really good running back, and Spencer Ware, he's in concussion protocol right now as we speak. Tim Hightower, great pickup. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. I can't think of the third. I think his name is Chris Lasco, third string running back. So Chris Lasco could be involved. Cadet could be involved. Mark Ingram should be involved. But I believe this is such a good matchup, such a good high scoring game where the Saints are the favorite going into this game. So that's why I like Tim Hightower. I still think he has lots of potential. Could be even an RB2, more like a flex play, but even could be an RB2 if, let's say, you have David Johnson or other players that are on bye this week and you're desperate. So I really like Tim Hightower. Got a good gut feeling about him going into this week. Dion Lewis, mentioned him a bunch of times. You guys already know the deal with him. Bilal Powell. CJ Prosise makes for a good pickup in PPR leagues. And keep tabs on Doug Martin and Jaquiz Rogers' status. I think it's just playing the odds. It's a bit unlikely that both Jaquiz and Doug are out. But hey, if they are, I think Antone Smith makes for a great waiver wire pickup going into this week. And then I would go for Peyton Barber. I expect a split between those two, but Antone Smith got a lot of snaps, a lot of carries, much more than Barber did last week. We seen him make big plays over there when he was in Atlanta. So I really like that pickup if both Doug Martin and Jacquizz Rodgers are both out. If you're in deeper leagues, look for Damian Williams, Teron Ward. If Tevin Coleman is out, keep in mind the Falcons and Bucks play Thursday night. Derrick Henry, I like him when the Titans are up a lot of points. Probably won't happen against the Chargers, but still worth a pickup. It's a must handcuff, basically, for Murray owners. Same thing goes with Alfred Morris. Thomas Rawls coming back from injury. Don't like him too much. That's why he's low on this list. Kenneth Dixon, Capri Bibbs, and Don Jackson if you're in some kind of weird, desperate situation in like a 16-man or 20-man league. For wide receivers, all these guys, the top 5 guys I have listed, are great pickups. We have Kendall Wright, Devontae Parker, Corey Coleman, Mohamed Sanu, and J.J. Nelson. I guess you go ahead and add Steve Smith to that list too. Now, if you're in more desperate need and trying to get creative here, I have Percy Harvin, who just came out of retirement. I definitely feel he's worth a stash, maybe in 12-man leagues, more of a deep league stash if you have the bench room. You know, if you only have 5 bench spots or your teams are really banged up or facing bye weeks, which is most teams, you probably don't want to stash a wide receiver that may do nothing. You know, he's just a wide receiver. It's not like it's a running back. You know, you can go pick up a wide receiver anytime off free agency. Andrew Hawkins, I have Adam Humphries, Russell Shepard, both Bucks receivers, Dorial Green Beckham, just recently Josh Huff, Eagles, I'd say he's probably like the 4th string wide receiver on the Eagles, just got pulled over. He's in some legal issues. That just happened today, Tuesday. Just the news broke out for that. Tyreek Hill in deeper leagues. And if you want to, I see one of the wide receivers for the Niners scoring at least once. So, I mean, you can throw a dart and try to go with, I think Jeremy Curley is the safest guy, especially in PPR leagues. Torrey Smith's the risky big play guy. And I got a gut feeling about Quinnen Patton in this game. But, of course, you know, I put these guys at the end and just it's kind of like throwing darts. You know, who knows who's going to score. I just know there's going to be touchdowns this game. That's all I know. So if you want to pick up a Niners receiver and start him, go ahead. You know, they'll probably get some targets, and hey, they might just score a touchdown. For tight ends, I like Dennis Pitta, Cameron Brate, Eric Ebron, CJ Fedorowicz. Keep in mind, he's on bye. Got a good gut feeling about Jason Witten this week. Antonio Gates, and in much deeper leagues, Virgil Green, Lance Kendricks, and Ladarius Green. Good stash. He is injured. Not having too much information about that guy, so, you know, we don't know. For defenses, all these are really close. You know, defenses are really tough to predict, almost as tough as predicting kickers. So, you know, it really depends what you're trying to go for and what your preference is. I like the Giants are at the top of my list. And, you know, I'm not too confident in them, but I like them. They've been actually, if you look at the stats, they've been pretty good, fantasy stats. They've been pretty good this year, so they're at the top of my list. I like the Cowboys. Great matchup. They have some injuries going on. And with Josh McCown back, Corey Coleman may be back. Maybe Barnidge can do some things. Maybe Crowell and Duke Johnson can do some things. I'm not in love with the Cowboys D, but I see this not being a high-scoring game. I think the Cowboys like to keep it low-scoring game. Just, you know, scramble with Dak, punch it in with Zeke. That's the type of game they like to play. Keep the defense off the field and win by 1 touchdown. That's how the Cowboys like to finish the game. So that's why I have to have him here in my list. Speaking of low-scoring games, the Bills going to Seattle, that could be a very low-scoring game. And as we've seen before, Russell, you know, as we talked about before, Russell Wilson's been garbage this year, basically been a bust. So Bills D have to put him on this list, and they've been great this year, except last week. And a lot of people benched him, rightfully so, going against Brady, who's just been on fire. Ravens is a great defense if Ben Roethlisberger is out. Maybe even a risky sleeper start if Ben Roethlisberger is banged up and is playing, or who knows? He may be a backup this game. We don't know yet, and the Steelers aren't given much information at this point. But honestly, Steelers probably don't even know either. Panthers going against the Rams. Dolphins going against the Jets. Rams going against the Panthers. Chargers D has been really good. Ever since Bosa's been playing, they've been pretty solid. I just started them the previous week, and they were a top 3 defense, I believe, in week 8. Man, they're really good. The Titans usually don't score a ton of points, or when they do, it's against horrible, sweet matchups that they have. I have the Lions going against the Vikings. Lions defense is horrible. The Vikings offense is horrible. They're super banged up. Vikings never score a lot of points, so that's a good sleeper pick. And also, if you're desperate, I got the Jets going against the Dolphins. Dolphins have been known to fail. This is not a defense I want to start ideally, though. That's why I have them at the end. For kickers, I have 5 really good kickers this week, guys. Brandon McManus. I always like McManus. Will Lutz. Caleb Sturgis. Steven Hauschka. I believe Steven Hauschka is a really safe kicker this week. I really believe that. And that's almost an oxymoron, safe kicker. It's impossible to predict, but I do like Hauschka at home going against the Bills. I think he'll get a lot of opportunities. The Seahawks should be able to get in the red zone and in field goal distance a lot of times just by running the ball with Christian Michael. So Cairo Santos, he's also really good this week. And if you're in deeper leagues, look for Phil Dawson, just for this week, though, going against the Saints. Josh Lambo, like him. He's okay this week, like him long term. Nick Folk, Graham Gano, and Ryan Suckup once again. And those are all my waiver ads for this week. Make sure you guys check out our new products at the Fantasy Couch store. We have tons of shirts, championship belts, just tons of cool stuff. I just added some stuff a couple weeks ago, so make sure you guys check that out. You can click here. I don't know how this thing works. Try to click here. There's also a link below in the description, or just go fantasycouch.com/store. That's fantasycouch.com/store. Make sure you guys like the video. Leave a comment below. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll be coming out with some special announcements and special videos this week, guys. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay tuned and look out for those special announcements and special videos. I'll see you guys on the next video.